What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. Celtic 3, Rangers 2. It finished at Celtic Park. We're 12 points clear. This is a post-match pint, live from Malones Bar, as always, on the roof. It's absolutely packed. Brilliant atmosphere down the stair. If you're in the area, get involved. I've got Kenny and Darren with me to reflect on that chaotic 90 minutes. We managed to come out on top, Kenny, but fair to say it was a stressful day.
Chaotic's the right word. When you don't play well and you win a regular league game, it's usually the sign that you're going to win the league. When you don't play well and you win a Glasgow derby, it's a sign that you've stamped your authority all over the city. And I think that's what we did today, because we didn't play well, but we still came away with a league-defining victory. There were a number of reasons, I think, that contributed to not being in our normal rhythm. Rangers did recognise the need to high press us in the last third. Cantwell and Tillman were doing that, obviously, with Morelos at the start of the game. We couldn't really get out to where that helps you is when you do get out, you've got more space in the middle third, and that's where our midfielders can hurt them. But we didn't have Hatate, and Moy was way off it. Moy was getting the ball in the final third with more space than normal, and his usual distribution wasn't there. I was a bit worried about Moy perhaps giving that type of performance because he's so reliant on playing week in, week out. We saw at the start of his Celtic career when he just came in cold, that he was really weak, but he became a bit of an animal with fitness. He's not played for a month. We then got a series of bookings. All of our midfield three were booked by half-time. Carter Vickers was booked. Yeah. That inevitably takes a bit of sting out of what you're trying to do. They doubled up on Maeda. Cantwell doubled up on Maeda with Tavernier. That kind of snuffed him out. So their tactics to a degree worked. But good teams score when it matters. We were efficient today. We're not always efficient. We have a lot of sort of wasted opportunities because we create so many. Yeah. But today we were efficient. And Kyogo took that goal really well. Sickner at half-time to concede that free kick and for Rangers to score. Giving away cheap free kicks doesn't help because that's probably the only real route they've got to go.
Yeah.
And then into the second half, we didn't come out the charts particularly quickly either. But at the end of the day, we've debated, is Martin O'Neill's team or Brendan Rodgers' team more resilient than this side? You're talking about the best sides in recent memory for Celtic. Today for me just puts down another marker that this side and my Celtic supporting lifetime are the most resilient. To play that poorly, that weakly against a team that Rangers are desperate for any sort of points to claw their way back in and keep them at arm's length when we're not in top form. That's a big statement for me. So, stressful 90 minutes, horrible to sit through, brilliant to be sat here with a beer and relax. So, job done, title's over.
Aye, Darren, I talked about it before the game in the preview show. You wanted a fast start. You always want a fast start in these games, and to be fair, the last couple of derbies at Celtic Park, we've done that. We've got early goals. It's been 3-0 at half-time and a few of the recent Celtic Park derbies. Today, though, we didn't quite get that fast start. And as Kenny says, I think Rangers did do quite well early in the game to nullify us. We couldn't really build the game the way we usually do. And that meant that the first 20-25 minutes was quite cagey.
No, and I think in the build-up to the game, the talk was how can Rangers stop Celtic? And I think that speaks volumes about the gap between the teams in the first place. And to an extent, the first 20 minutes were probably a bit cagey between the both teams. And there was a few mistakes from both sides. But I think once the game kind of calmed down, Celtic got that offside goal, which I thought would have kind of just killed any momentum that Rangers had kind of built. But even the game kind of settled back down after that, and quite the opposite. I thought Rangers kind of got a kick from that, kind of gave them a kick up the backside, like, oh no, we better step up or we're going to concede. And they kind of had to go a wee bit for that bit of time, and they scored that goal. They get chopped off. I think it was right. They chopped off.
Push it back post.
I pushed it back, but I'm sure people that don't support Celtic will disagree with that. I think it was.
I'm sure they will, mate. We'll come to that.
Anyway, we will come to that. But I thought, again, from both teams, probably not the best, but it just, I think when we got that goal, it was just a little bit of a moment from Matt O'Reilly, who has got his critics, mate. He's really got his critics the last few weeks. This season especially. I thought he really, really performed today. And that assisted to Kyogo. Usually the Celtic that we see, whether it be Greg Taylor or one of the wingers, they draw that ball across the 6-yard box. Matt O'Reilly got his head up, saw that Kyogo wasn't at the 6-yard box, saw him at the penalty spot, cut it back from perfectly. That put us 1-0 in front, and it kind of settled the nerves. To be honest, mate, I thought Rangers were going to capitulate after that, because
we've seen it before.
We have seen it before, and I think they've kind of got one eye on the semi-final, knowing that it's probably their only chance to get a trophy this season. So I thought they would kind of capitulate. I was actually wrong, mate, and Rangers kind of, they showed a bit of heart, and their setup was pretty good, to be fair. And I'm sure we'll talk about the goal that Tavernier scores a free kick is a really silly goal to concede. From our perspective anyway, and we go into half time, I was just kind of, it was a bit of a downer in the stadium at half time because the fans were singing, the fans were cheering, we're all happy, and it's such a sloppy goal, a set piece to concede for a Tavernier free kick. And then we go into the second half and Rangers actually were a better team in the first 10 minutes. And I was worried, mate, I was really worried because we've not got the lights off at Tati, and you're just looking for someone who can kind of change that game. Once they kick that kind of 10-minute spell kind of ended, that's when we got going, I think. The second goal I thought from us was really lucky in the sense of Ben Davies has hit it off Jota. They're going to want it's a handball. It's never a handball. It's never a handball. The ball falls to Kyogo. It does what it does best and we score. To that point, for me, the game was over. I know it 3-2 on paper sounds close, and at the end it was a bit cagey, but after that, and Eddie Water coming on, that kind of changed the game for me. We did deserve to win the game today, right? It wasn't the best we've seen all season, same with last week, it wasn't the best we've played, but it doesn't matter because again, we're winning. It goes back to that resilience that we're showing again, mate. Like, even when we get a setback, we just keep going on and going on and going on, mate, because look, when was the last time Rangers actually scored at Celtic Park? Because I'm pretty sure it was Ryan Kent that scored the 1-2-1.
Thanks to Cala. Remember, it was 1 each back end of last season.
And end up nearly won a game. That's the difference that even from 12 months ago, that's the difference we've made this time, mate. It's to even go on, like, I thought that first 10 minutes that we were going to capitulate because we've done it before. But Kyogo's goal, and then 10 minutes later the pressing, Jota getting another goal. I'm going to have a bit of complaints about the goal because that we conceded the second Rangers goal because it was very sloppy, mate. But once they got that, again, you don't really feel that we're going to go on and let the game slip. Yes, Rangers did have a few chances.
The thing I would say on that today though is I kind of did have something in the back of my head that thought, see, because we've not played very well today, I think there could be another chance in it for Rangers and they might nick something, because I just thought we were, as you say, sloppy all day. Like, Carter Vickers wasn't quite at it. Kenny, I don't know what you thought about the defence across the board. I thought we were just a wee bit complacent and a wee bit below our level. I mean, you can't criticise Carter Vickers in any way because he's 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 every single week. But he was a bit off it today. I think it's his sloppy clearance that leads to the O'Reilly challenge that gives away the free kick for the equaliser. And you just felt like we weren't as assured as normal at the back.
Yeah, our basic marking was all over the place. I mean, their goal that was chopped off, it's probably a marginal decision where it's been chopped off. Looks like it should have been chopped off, but it was still a bit of a weak. I mean, it was a simple header, pretty close range. Morelos should also have scored at the start of the second half from something very similar. Morelos then should have scored. Joe Hart produced a reasonable save, and then the last goal's like a Sunday League goal, right, on our part, because some sort of punt into the box. Alistair Johnson, who was outstanding, I think just had a moment of sort of a bit lax, and then Joe Hart. For that last goal, I thought Joe Hart maybe could have come off his line. Difficult to tell, but when you throw all that together, it's probably the worst defensive performance we've had all season. Hard to know why. Maybe it's because they were pressed. They just felt a bit unnerved by the fact that they were being pressed more than normal, and that meant that certainly with set pieces, the delivery's coming in better. Rangers deliver the ball better from a set piece than the other teams in the league. That's what they're known for. That's about all they really did, right? They had no invention in outfield play. But we should talk about Alistair Johnson within the defence. We're going to talk about the defence. I thought he was absolutely stunning today, Alistair Johnson. Actually, I was watching the back four warm up, and I could just sense, just watching how athletic he is, his attitude, that he was going to play well today. And he was put under serious pressure in that first half, mainly because of Moy. Moy was playing difficult passes that were putting the midfield, the back four under pressure, and he was getting us out of jail time and time again because the quality that he's got and the energy and the bravery and how much he gets the club. So he was man of the match from the stadium selection today, and I think that was true. He was immense.
I'm surprised to get man of the match. We can maybe revisit that then, but I'm surprised to get man of the match. I thought he was brilliant. I thought
he was brilliant. McGregor. I would say him or McGregor.
I would say Alistair Johnson.
I thought he was brilliant. He had a few tracking back with Kent where he got his body in. He was really strong. A few brilliant tackles, but I actually thought he was also really slack on the ball. He takes a free kick in the first half under no pressure on the halfway line, and he puts Starfelt in a position at the corner flag because he just hooks it back into nowhere.
There were times in the first half, Paul, where he was under serious pressure and tight conditions.
He did really well.
And he dug us under pressure whereby had they not done it, they were in on goal.
Trouble. No, I thought defensively he was really good. He also gives one away right at the end, and Kent's breaking in on goal, and he gives it to Morelos. Ends up petering out with Sakala on the left, but I don't know if he's tired at that point in the game, but he tries to guide it back to Carter Vickers. There's nothing on it, and Kent breaks in. But I mean, I'm surprised he get man of the match. I thought he was good overall, but I'm surprised he get man of the match. Darren, I thought we scored at good times. Kyogo on the turn, smashes in the first goal. Because Rangers scored right before half time, they're in the ascendancy for the first 10 minutes of the second half. I think that's when Morelos has a chance at the back post, and then from the resulting corner, he also has a free header. I think he should maybe do better with. That's the story of his career, but he should maybe do better. I think at that period in the game they were stronger for 10 minutes. But again, we get the goal, we get the second goal. So for all their play today and the narrative, I guarantee it, I've already seen it actually, because the Rangers captain and the Rangers manager have come out to say that they were hard done by decisions, and they've lost the game because of refereeing decisions, which is ludicrous. But we scored at big moments and we took the lead in big moments. Rangers were never ahead in the game today, and psychologically that's big. And I think Kyogo, for the second goal, it's a strange goal because it's from a cross in, the ball goes up in the air, Davies makes a mistake, he clears it into Jota, it hits Jota on the thigh, by the way, not the hand, not even nearly the hand, but Kyogo's there to react, first time, great touch and turn for the first goal, but first time he's there to react, put it through McGregor's legs, just waiting to pounce at all times, Kyogo.
Mate, we're running out of sentences to sum this guy up. I mean, that's 5 goals against Rangers
in 3 games.
And take what before the game against Ibrox there at New Year. Take before it, he had
people were saying,
you're saying he's not a big game player. He's clearly just showed that he is a big game player. And to go back to what you say, is like Rangers are obviously having sour grapes about.
It's not like them. To be fair, it's not like
referees' decisions and stuff. As much as we like to laugh and joke about how much we're better than Rangers, in this derby, there's always going to be moments for each teams. Rangers had moments, like you just said, Paul. They didn't take them. We had moments who fell luckily to the likes of Kyogo and likes of Jota, and they did take them. That's the difference in these games. That's why we're winning. That's why we're top of the league. That's why there's such a big gap.
There's such a big gap. I wonder what Michael Beale's got to say about the gap now, because he kept talking about how it had narrowed, even though actually mathematically it hadn't narrowed. He can look at league table tonight and let us know. Kenny, the third goal, some say Alan McGregor's still in the 6-yard box trying to get out to nick it before Jota, because my God, I thought time had started going backwards. I thought, that's going through to McGregor, and then all of a sudden it wasn't, and Jota's onto it, and it's exactly like Larsson at Ibrox for his 50th goal of the season.
I don't think the Souttar-McGregor combo is really something that Rangers will feel very heralded about. I mean, it was in quicksand the way he was coming out. But look, that's not Jota's fault, right? No. He nips in, rounds him. Brilliant finish. When he rounded him, I thought, he's up against it here, Jota. It happens in a flash, but in my mind I thought, this might not go in. He's so cool. He puts it in right in the centre of the goal. And that's what Darren's right. Those are the moments. Jota didn't have a spectacular outing, but that's one key thing there. He was put through in goal with their keeper rushing out with 60,000 people looking at him, and what does he do? He rounds him and he buries it. Morelos had easier chances than that and blew them. And that's what matters. That's what happens with big teams that win titles and win trophies. They make the big moments count, and we were efficient today. And I was delighted for Jota. Jota loves the club. I mean, he loves that environment. He's thriving in it. Yeah. And it was great for him to get the other goal today. I don't know if he did his sort of iconic arm in there.
He did do it.
I
was in such raptures that I didn't even watch, but that's amazing. So I'll look back and enjoy that tonight. Brilliant finish.
See, just on Jota, I think you can never ever say that he hides. And I know that he's a winger and he's quite flamboyant at times, and maybe he overplays here and there because he loves to chop people inside out and put it through people's legs, but he never ever hides. And I think that's characteristic of his performances recently, because Kenny's just said it there, I've said it in recent weeks as well, like he wasn't absolutely scintillating, but he constantly takes the ball and tries to make things happen, and I thought he did that again today.
Mate, that's just one thing, is confidence. He's got to be confident in his own ability to take on players and take the ball even when, like you said, he's not having the best game. And he always tries, mate. He always tries. I always think back to see Jota at the start of the season. We were talking every single week, mate. Oh, he's the man of the match. He's the man of the match. He's the man of the match. That's not the case anymore when you talk about likes of Kyogo and Hatate. Jota kind of sits on the periphery now. But one thing he does is he always tries, mate. I get quite annoyed sometimes, like, for example, last week when he was trying to take on players when he's trying to overcomplicate things when it's 1-0, 1-0, right? That's just the type of player he is. He's a guy that gets arses off seats. That's the type of player he is. And I think any team always needs a kind of player like that, because we don't really have to. We've not seen much. Haksabanovic, he is kind of similar to Jota, right? He is very similar, but Jota's got that more flair about him. He's got that little
wee bit extra pace than Haksabanovic.
He's got that little extra pace than Haksabanovic, but he's also just got that star, mate.
Yeah.
He can always change a game in a flash, mate. Even if he's sitting on the periphery, he can always just change a game. And see that, Kenny, you just talked about there, see that composure, mate. It's very similar, his composure, the last time we said the part, mate. See when he chipped it over Alan McGregor, mate. That's even more composure to skin him now. And just that angle, mate, if I was me, I would absolutely crap myself, man. I would put it into Rose's head, man. But he's slotted, he's just put it calmly in the corner, mate.
Aye.
It just sums him up, mate.
Aye. He's certainly no short of confidence, Kenny, and that, for me, what the question I just asked Darren there about what he's always wanting to take the ball, try and make things happen. That's the mark of a Celtic player for me, because so many characteristics you need to play for Celtic, but the main one is, and I thought the crowd today in the first 15-20 minutes, when you think there's 60,000, no away fans, this is a huge benefit for us. Well, it's not, because if you start giving the ball away, the crowd are on you. And so you need players like Jota, and the team's full of them. You can't hide. You need to take the ball constantly, and I think he epitomises that.
I think the desire to play for the badge, I think it's the hallmark of the Postecoglou era. Look at O when he comes on at the end. He looks like he'd run through walls for the club, right? He's coming on as a sub. Haksabanovic, when he comes on, probably entitled to get a bit upset because he's not getting minutes. He's coming on, he's scoring goals, he's celebrating as if he's won the World Cup. Even guys that have left, Giacomakis, Juranovic, they cared right up to the death. They weren't leaving as people that were part of a dressing room that was lost. They were obviously leaving as part of a dressing room that was completely united and that still cared about the manager. And that, you can have wonderful football. Look at Chelsea, right? They've got the most expensive players in the world, but they're not a team. We don't have anything like the quality that Chelsea have, but we're a team. And that is what is driving the results, ultimately, through time. And there's one man that drives that, and it's Ange. They will run through walls for Ange, and it's so clear. And Jota, I could list them all, right? But I think that's the hallmark of the Postecoglou, is the desire to play for the manager in the club. They're coming from all over the globe. We've got a completely global side. It doesn't matter where they come from. They come in, they buy into it immediately. Alistair Johnson looks like he's played here for years, right? He's played here for, 10 starts or something? So it's amazing, and that's built around the manager.
Aye, absolutely. I think, again, one of the biggest things about Postecoglou is, I think it's so clear that he's got a zero tolerance for non-commitment. Everybody has to be committed, and I think we've seen that a wee bit towards the end with Giacomakis, because there was a contract and it was just done. It was decided, and he's away and he's gone now.
Brilliant.
And I think that is so important, Darren, in terms of instilling that culture. Back to the game, we briefly mentioned it earlier. Rangers get back into it at 3-2. Comes to the second phase of a corner. I think it might be Johnson that sleeps at the back post, because Tavernier's took the corner, goes out to the other end, and he's unmarked at the back post. Lack of concentration, tiredness, I don't know, but sloppy, and as I say, characteristic of a performance at times today defensively, and it just allowed them a wee glimmer of hope towards the end.
Yeah, and I'm actually quite surprised, because it's very uncharacteristic of our team. And at the time I was looking around the stadium, fans are doing a huddle at the time, and we're pretty much prematurely celebrating a win. But
a league title.
a league title, exactly. But unfortunately it's not as easy as that, and like you say, Rangers do get back in the game. Very unlike seeing Rangers right back in the 6-yard box on the left hand side. Like you say, they just hit the corner obviously, but it's very uncharacteristic of Celtic to concede a goal like that. And I think it really highlighted the discipline of our team and concentration as well. That last 10 minutes, mate, just to see it out, because when you've got 60,000 of your own fans pressurising you, every time you give a ball away, they're on your back. That's a lot of pressure, mate. It's a lot of pressure. So that last 10 minutes, it wasn't perfect. It definitely was not perfect. And me, myself, and all the other fans around me were watching it through our fingertips. But again, we just keep finding a way to see it through. And that's why it's 12 points. That's why we're going to win. That's why the league's over.
Aye. Kenny, we've talked all season about the consistency, the relentlessness. We even touched on it already in this video, but 16 home games, 16 wins. 98 goals, still on to at least tie record points, I believe. And I said to Martin outside, this victory gives us the most amount of points of any Celtic team after 31 games. The levels are ridiculous, and before Postecoglou came in, by the start when we thought this is going to take time, of course we won a double last year, much quicker turnaround than we thought, but people always said, MD who's followed his career, just wait to the second season. And it's proven right. The second season has been better. I know we've got Europe to make a mark in. That's kicked into next season now, but the levels of consistency and relentlessness have just gone through the ceiling this season.
And when you compare it's amazing, right? I mean, actually, staying on the ground, you're quite emotional actually watching what you're seeing. Martin O'Neill, they did sort of similar numbers, but this team looks like they're going to surpass them. But Martin O'Neill inherited Henrik Larsson. Brendan Rodgers came in, did similar numbers, but he's playing against a Rangers side that had just been brought up from the Championship. Ange Postecoglou inherited a team in complete disarray against a team that had just lost the league by 25 points. So the backdrop to what he's doing now is absolutely remarkable. And I really hope, I think if they win, I might be wrong, I think if they win every game, they will beat Rodgers.
Points.
They would have the best in the history of the Scottish game. Now, they're not the best team that have played in the history of the Scottish game, but my God, they're arguably, Europe is the only thing that puts them away from being the best Celtic side I've seen in my lifetime, and that's a big thing, right? You can't just say, well, it doesn't matter in Europe. And I think that's why Ange will stay, because I think he's the type of person that will be desperate to prove next season. It's always going to be difficult in the Champions League because of the economics of the game, but he needs to go out and make more of a mark in Europe that leaves a legacy that we can all stand behind and say, do you know what? That is the best Celtic side in my lifetime, and that's possible. The fact that we're saying that it's actually possible is the biggest compliment we can. Can I just one last thing on the game? We should mention Iwata.
That's my next thing on the game.
When he came on, 60? I think it was one each when he came on. Yeah. We were 3-1 up within 10 minutes. That's not all down to him, but he gave us really nice shape. He controlled that whole game when he came on, and it looks like he's physical, but he's not just physical. He can play. Today, for the first time I saw him play nice little intricate balls forward. He looks like he could have everything. It's difficult for him to get in the McGregor's position, but he played a really key part in today's win.
Darren Kenny must have read my mind, because I was going to come back to the game because we hadn't mentioned Iwata already. I thought he was vital. I think he suits these games, and he's going to suit these games, because maybe you don't need to put him in and move McGregor up one in most domestic games, but maybe games like this and games in Europe next season, if he can bring a similar level and a similar impact in those games. But I thought he's brilliant out of possession. I thought he read it. He read the game well. He made interceptions. He made tackles. He was getting on second balls. As Kenny says, he gave his physicality in midfield, which we didn't have today. Not that Hatati's the most physical player in the world, but he's a lot more complete than maybe Moy and O'Reilly, because he's a bit quicker, both in terms of his movement and his speed of thought. I thought Iwata really calmed us down and gave us a foothold at a key time in the game.
Of course he did, and I actually said this, that when he came on, that is when we really started to settle and we stretched our lead. I don't think it's 100% down to him coming on. Obviously there are other different factors, Kyogo obviously making the difference, but it's just like you said, it was first to every second ball. It's just, I think he's a step ahead in the game for me. He's almost like, he lets Callum McGregor push up one, which is fine. I think Callum did great when he stepped up, but he does. He's very smart. He's very intelligent. He's very physical. He's calm. He's composed. I'm not going to sit here and be arrogant and say he's got everything and he's the next star of Celtic. He's still very early in his Celtic career, but every time he's come in, which is very minimal, obviously, because unless it's going to be an injury, he's not really going to play, because McGregor's going to sit in that 6 for the whole 90 minutes. So obviously with now Hatate being injured, this is his time. This is his time to really come in here, because he's going to really feel, I think going forward now, he's going to feel really hard done by. One, if he doesn't start the semi-final, I think he's earned that. I really do think he's earned that. Obviously it's going to get back.
Whether Hatate's fit or not.
Of course he is. Well, not of course, but from the rumours I'm hearing, he's not going to be. But what I'm saying is, it'll give Aaron Moy obviously a bit of time to get up to match fitness, because it really showed today that he wasn't match fit. But if you're going off today for me, he has to start in the semi-final, and he has to start at Ibrox after post-split as well. Maybe thinking domestically against all the other teams, you could probably just get away with playing McGregor there and playing your Turnbulls and O'Reillys or Aaron Moyes and O'Reillys, because realistically it doesn't really matter who we play.
It'll be a useful tool in Europe, Iwata, because we can play Iwata McGregor in Europe and give yourself a bit more protection. I mean, it's hard to go against the best teams in the world with two number 10s, right? That's the way we are built. But we just didn't have someone of his level to play beside McGregor. So I think it could be useful in Europe.
Aye, I think it's early days, but I think we've got a good one in Tomoki Iwata. See, in terms of Callum McGregor, we need to talk about him. It would be remiss of us not to talk about him. I thought he drove us forward today. I thought he put in a captain's performance. I think in the second half he wins a 50-50 and two Rangers players go to absolutely clean him out, and he jumps, rides the tackles. He was in Raskin's face as well, and then after that 50-50 one, he's over at the crowd, geeing everybody up. I mean, we've waxed lyrical about him all season after season, but today I thought he put in a captain's performance in a big game, in a big derby, and you don't need to go back that long either. Back when Postecoglou came in, that people would have doubted whether Callum McGregor could be the Celtic captain. He's superb.
I mean, they've got the flair of Hatate, the sort of easy on the eye stuff for Kyogo. He's the heartbeat of the club. Callum McGregor's the heartbeat of the club. If he is missing in any game, it's a huge problem. And we're just blessed to have him. Did I want him to have the captaincy? Yes. Did I think he would excel in the way he's grown into a captain? No. His captaincy is absolutely outstanding. We get different captains. Paul McStay, led by example. Scott Brown, led by aggression and being vocal. He's a blend of both, because he is vocal. He's not a naturally aggressive person, but you see the way he leads a huddle. You see the care that he's got for the badge, and then you look at the way he plays the game. He's not a Paul McStay, but his feet aren't too far away from that, and he just runs these games. So it was a big call today, because Ange must have been tempted to play Iwata deep and play McGregor forward because Hatate was out. That was the debate we were all having in our group chat, and it was a reasonable debate. But he decided that it was just too influential to not have McGregor at the base of the side, and it was the right decision, because particularly when they all get booked. When they all get booked, you need a calm head back there. And he was calm throughout the whole game. His foot, technically, he is superb, Callum McGregor. That gets overlooked because he's the captain of the club and he's the face of the club. But technically, he is brilliant, and no more so today. Aye,
absolutely. Darren Endy we've missed, or anything we've missed through the game, I think. Greg Taylor, I thought in the first half was really good, getting into midfield. He had a few balls that I would say were 60-40 in a Rangers player's favour, and he was getting in front of them. I thought he was good in possession as well, on the turn and trying to help us get out. I thought he was good. Anybody else impress you?
None that we've really already touched on. Greg Taylor obviously was massive coming in. Obviously, I think it was 50-50 before.
Can we just touch on? Sorry, I've just remembered. Bernaby's 1-on-1 for 4-2, and he squares it to John Souttar. Oh, what is he thinking, man? There's like no other Celtic player in that half of the pitch.
Man, I know. What was he thinking?
I don't know if he
his first couple of touches were good,
but I thought he's going to score here.
And then he set up perfectly for him to just to hit a shot.
Squared it for Ben Davies.
I don't know if that was just a bit of nerves or something.
Aye, could have been. Kenny, we've covered everything. The levels that Celtic teams put up has been incredible this season. We've talked about the points record, which is in touch. The goals record's almost guaranteed. I think the semi-final presents an issue, because that was a close game today. We'll need to perform better than that in the semi-final, you would think. And I feel like if you play a team 3 or 4 times in the space of 3 months, how many chances do they get to get a look at you, to work you out, to try something different tactically? Every time we play them, the chances of us not winning every single game get greater. So, is it the semi-final? Obviously, you would take the semi-final over the points record, but I find it difficult. I'm not saying that Celtic team can't do it, but it's a tall order to go and win at Ibrox with no away supporters and win the semi-final as well, and win every game between now and the end of the season.
Will we lose any sleep if we don't win the points total? No. Will we lose any sleep if we don't win a treble? No, because we're going to have a brilliant summer and celebrate the fact that we're headed for the Champions League. We've had an absolutely outstanding campaign, and there's so many variables in football. Nothing's guaranteed. Brendan Rodgers, all the way through the Invincible season, said he didn't think it would happen because there's so many variables, and that's true. But we're on the cusp of it, and it would be unjust if we didn't do it. We deserve it. the amount of energy and effort and consistency we've put in week on week, we deserve a treble. I've watched Celtic long enough and saw teams lesser than this win trebles that we deserve a treble. But we're in a nice place where it's not a necessity to have a great season because we've won the league today, and we shouldn't lose sight of winning the league 7 or 8 games out for the end of a campaign. So delighted, and another nerve jangler I'm sure in store at the end of the month.
Aye, fingers crossed for the treble, Darren. Today, your standout, your man of the match, is it Alistair Johnston?
Yes, but it's not as easy as that. I mean, you have to credit the likes of Kyogo, obviously scoring 2 goals. That makes the huge difference. That's the game changers right there. Obviously, I need to shout out the likes of Carl Starfelt. I thought he'd done really well, especially when Carter Vickers, who's often credited as the main man at the back, when he doesn't perform, it's up to Starfelt to kind of fill in for that. I thought he'd done that really well today. He's often been criticised for this fixture for his tendencies to make mistakes. I thought he was rock solid today. But the overwhelming man of the match has to be for Alistair Johnston for me. One mostly was his effort. It really, really plays for the badge for me. Yeah. It's just he always puts in 100% every single game. I said to you last week after Ross County that going forward for me, he seems to get more and more comfortable. What the manager's kind of asking for him to kind of do that overlap of the winger. But he never really done that today. But he done the defensive side of things today. He got rough. He got tough. He didn't let Kent do anything. And for me, it really, it's as if he's played in this game for seasons for me. It's man of the match for me.
I love Alistair Johnston. I've talked about his intensity.
Do you? You seem to hate him.
No, I just said he gave the ball away twice, which he did. No, he's brilliant, and I love his intensity. He relishes these games. I think it's remarkable that, in fact, somebody said it in a Celtic Fans TV Twitter response earlier that he's got the shithousery Ralston and the quality of Juranovic, which I think is quite a nice summary. Johnston, for you?
Unless you'd fall out with me, I'll just go. No, I would go McGregor. I would say Johnston excelled in my view. In a powder keg environment, title on the line, your whole midfield booked. Where do you need? You need your captain, and he stepped up again. I would say McGregor. And
just on Johnston, he also nullified Kent as well. It's another derby that's went by where Kent was ineffectual, and it was largely down to Alistair Johnston. My man, at risk of turning into Kyogo Furuhashi TV, my man of the match is Kyogo Furuhashi. Special player. 28 goals, absolutely ruthless. He's about a yard away from having a hat-trick because he scores 5 minutes in as well. What a player.
Brilliant.
What a day. Celtic are 12 points clear. Like this video, comment with your own thoughts below. We're going down the stair to enjoy our night wherever you are in the world. Enjoy yours, and we'll see you next week for the build-up to Kilmarnock. Thank you.
Yes!